migrated to platforms. So that resistance starts from within. So that's those are also some of the challenges we'll have with the big established banks evolving. But that doesn't mean that they are not fintech companies, but that they're doing currently a whole lot, migrating and transforming their businesses to work as fintech companies. I'll give you an example in Nigeria. Almost every bank in Nigeria has a mobile app. I believe every bank in Nigeria has a mobile app. I don't know any bank in Nigeria currently that does not have a mobile app that the customers cannot conduct or process their transactions on mobile app. A lot of them are even going beyond that to kind of build enterprise platforms or corporate internet platforms that can support companies in doing some more advanced banking transactions, do their trade transactions on platforms on those applications, do a lot of financial advisory, on those platforms and all of that. We have what we call bot advisor right now, where you see robots, providing financial advisory services and all of that. So banks are beginning to build those capacities. So banks are also fintechs. So not only the startups. Then we look at also the tech companies that are not particularly the traditional financial institutions. I'll give you an example, the telecom companies in Nigeria. We know that recently the CBN came up with a policy that said that they're going to license payment services banks. I don't know whether we're all aware of that. Correct. So what that means is that telecom companies, big supermarket chains, e-commerce platforms can now provide banking services on the basis of retail banking, like things like payment services, collecting some little deposits, creating what we call digital wallets where customers can hold money. So those are also fintech companies, but they're not traditional fintech companies in the real sense. They are not startups. They are not your traditional banking institutions. But today they are in that same space competing. So you see a lot of the telecom companies in Nigeria already collecting those licenses or buying or paying for those licenses, obtaining them. Then you also see supermarket chains also beginning to get those licenses. They're going to start rendering some of those banking services. If you look at the likes of, let's look at the global environment right now. You look at the likes of Amazon. Amazon has what we call Amazon Pay. We know Alibaba in China, that's the biggest e-commerce platform in China. Alibaba has what we call Alipay. Those are fintech subsidiaries or fintech arms of those businesses. So in the real sense, those are like banks. They're like retail banks in the real sense. The way banks are evolving today, the way banking services is going to be rendered or is going to evolve. It's evolving going forward. Recently, I don't know who is aware of it also, Facebook, the owner of WhatsApp, announced they're going to be providing payment services on WhatsApp, either to be called WhatsApp Pay or Facebook Pay. I don't know who heard about that. So they are starting it off from Brazil. They've launched in Brazil, they've launched in Brazil last month, and they're going to, after patrolling in Brazil, they're going to branch off and go to other places. Today, there's a company in India called Reliance Industries that has a platform called Jio. They recently just signed a contract to work with WhatsApp Pay to also provide payment services in India. That's a whole lot of disruption. Imagine what will happen, what will be on the minds of Indian banks today, because WhatsApp alone in India has about 400 million subscribers in India. So if a company is partnering with WhatsApp to provide payment services across 400 million people, I don't know how many banks, any bank that will have 400 million customers. The traditional bank, for example, Nigeria has a population of about 200 million people, but the traditional bank in Nigeria, the big bank that have, none of them has more than 50 million customers. So imagine a platform now providing payment services to 400 million people. It means like they're competing with like 10 banks in Nigeria. That's what that means in India. So imagine a company waking up one day and say they want to partner with WhatsApp Pay or Facebook Pay to provide payment services in Nigeria. What happens? So that means you can make your payments, pay anybody, pay your bills via your WhatsApp. You know that almost everybody in Nigeria uses WhatsApp. Anybody that has a phone and that has access to data. So I can tell you, out of the 200 million Nigerians with about 60% internet penetration, which means we should have about 110 million Nigerians that that use mobile phones, that also use data. So I can tell you, out of those 110 million people or thereabouts, or 100 million people, 80% of them use WhatsApp, if not all of them. So it means that anybody that partners with WhatsApp to provide payment services automatically has access to customers more than the traditional banks, just like that. Everybody on that uses WhatsApp becomes a customer, because it's very easy, to get them to, because people have today more relationships, more conversations on WhatsApp. I don't know anybody that can stay for an hour or 2 hours today without looking at his WhatsApp. I don't know anybody. My WhatsApp is on my laptop. It has moved from my phone to my laptop, so that I can be seeing real-time online conversations. I won't be moving from phone to my laptop. So I'm using my WhatsApp on my phone. So if I'm working, I'm seeing the comments that come. People are sending documents to me on WhatsApp and all of that. So when you're providing payment service on those platforms, automatically the banks, you'll be worried. So those are also fintech opportunities. So again, look at people like Jumia. How many people use Jumia? How many people use Tonga, OLX, and all of that? All the e-commerce platforms that we have in Nigeria. If all of these people go now and acquire the payment service bank license from the CBN, it's a problem for the existing banks, because a lot of people are also using those platforms. So you have the telecoms companies, you have the social media platforms, you have the tech companies, all coming into financial services. So those are another examples of fintech companies. Like I said, not only the startups. Then we also look at the people that provide, the companies that provide the support infrastructure for financial services, the MasterCards of this world, the Visa, and all of that, the InterSwitch. There's no guarantee that those people might not decide one day to provide payment services on platforms, because they already have the existing infrastructure. They are the facilitators. If you come to Nigeria, these are the switching companies. Almost everything that you do in terms of payment in Nigeria must go through InterSwitch, eTransact, and all of that, because the switching companies that help to facilitate those transactions. Imagine any of them branches off and maybe regulation allows them to provide or procure payment service bank license. What happens? Because they own the switching infrastructure, they provide the platform. So their service probably might be better. That's the truth, might be better, because the banks are depending on them to complete their transactions, to support the effectiveness of their existing platform to have. But if these people now start providing those services, and nothing guarantees that they won't start, nothing guarantees that regulation authorities will not allow them in the future, if not now, to purchase those. It's already happening. I'll give you an example. Most of these people, the payment service companies, the ones that provide the POSs of POS machines and all of that, today they are issuing their own POS. So a lot of the POS that you see out there were not issued by banks. Some of them were issued by those companies, the PSPs, the payment service. These companies that own the payment service platforms, they are the ones issuing some of the POS. So they are already competing with banks in that space. So who says that they can't come in to also become part of the real services of banking, or providing the real actual payment of keeping your money retail? Remember, we're talking about mostly the retail space here. So those are also people that are going to support. So we see that the disruption, when you say fintech, people most times limit their minds to those little startups that you hear. Maybe you hear the likes of Flutterwave and all of that. So those are the only people you think about. You don't know that almost everybody around you is now going into fintech. Everybody has opportunities, and regulation is making it so. That's why. Because everybody is talking about financial inclusion. So the government is in a hurry to integrate the people in the rural areas into the financial services bracket, like to make sure that they enjoy that, they also have access to financial services. Before now,
right.
Not before, even now, you mostly...
Mr. Fidel, just a minute then, Mr. Fidel. Sorry to actually cut you short. Okay. Once again, I want to welcome people that are joining us. We apologize that you didn't start off with us in time. So, Mr. Fidel, just to narrow you down a little bit, I'll say I personally, I would want to know, okay, the topic is making a career in the fintech industry, okay? So I want to know how I, as a student, how I can make a career in the fintech industry. All right, so if I'm thinking of fintech, I'm thinking of bank, I'm thinking of institutions, I'm thinking of payment gateways, I'm thinking of computer companies, I'm thinking of software, but personally, I want to know, as a student, I'm still in year 2, I'm still in year 3, I'm 7 currently in the youth corps. I want to know how I can start a career in the fintech industry. I want to know, okay, so after my final year, I want to know what are the things I need to do to be a security expert. I want to know what I need to do to be a financial expert. Do you understand? So I think we should narrow the conversation to that lane so that people would be able to, get more information and be better off it at the end of the webinar. So please, could you take it to that?
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I was going to go to that, but I wanted to provide a bit of, because if you understand, if you have a clear understanding of the opportunities in fintech, we can now start aligning ourselves to how we can become relevant in that sector, so that people don't limit themselves to only to be fintech, you have to work in the bank, you have to build a career in the bank. So it's not just the bank, right? So now it comes, yes. Yeah. So now building career in fintech for me comes with you, it's having a solution mindset, like having the mindset of trying to see how to provide solutions to the existing problems we have mostly in the financial services sector, in terms of how people consume financial services. I give an example of what I mean. So you don't, for me, you don't need particularly to say, you must study this, you must study that, no. It's a different kind of sector that is evolving. First of all, it doesn't depend on what you're going to study in school. It doesn't matter what you're going to study. I work in the bank today. Initially, I didn't study finance. I studied agri-economics. I was a science student in secondary school, but today I work in it. We have a lot of lawyers in the bank. We have a lot of people that probably study religion, linguistics in the bank. So first of all, it's not a function of what you probably study. You wasn't studying banking and finance to be involved in banking or to be involved in fintech, first of all. But it comes with the appreciation of that sector and the things happening in that sector. It comes with the appreciation of the problems and the needs in that sector and how you want to bridge the gap and solve those problems. So now, being involved in building a career in the fintech industry could come in different perspectives. Do you want to own your own company? Do you want to provide the solutions as an entrepreneur? Or do you want to provide the solutions working in existing firms? So there are a lot of opportunities if you want to work in existing firms. Today, data is the biggest strategic asset. So what gives banks and financial institutions and fintech companies leverage is their understanding and analytics of data. How they use data to provide information and to provide the insights, that will help them serve the customers better. So a beautiful way to start is understanding data, meaning of data, how to analyze data. There are a lot of courses you can take, online. You don't need to go to while you're a student, you can register. There are a lot of free online courses on the internet that can teach you a lot of things about data analytics, customer analytics, market analytics, to prepare your mind so that you'll be thinking right in terms of today. As a young person, you see young people today, that they usually don't like coming to the banks. And that a lot of banks probably don't have those kind of applications to serve them. So who says you can't create some of those applications and go to a bank and sell? And say, okay, look at the ideas I have. This can help you, support you, to solve this problem. You don't need to be a programmer, actually. So but I'm looking at the business side of it, the business model. Run around. So you can bring in the programmers to write the software, do the application. But the important part is the business model that shows how the customer journey is going to be made more effective, how the customer journey is going to be made easier for the customer and add a lot more value to the customer. Something that is going to enhance the customer experience in the way they consume those products. So you have to first of all think like the customers, think and appreciate the problems that the customers are facing in terms of the products and services that get it from financial services. And from that point of view, you can now decide whether, like I said, you want to be a data analyst or you want to even go into full programming. You want to learn programming, because the careers that are so important right now in fintech are the data analysts, the programmers, the digital marketers, marketing. These are the people that are going to have a proper interpretation and analysis of the markets and the behaviors of those customers, along with the data analysts, and provide those solutions that will enhance the customer experience. So those are some of the careers that I see that today that we have prevalently in the fintech industry that were not in your traditional banking. Though banks are beginning to create those opportunities today. In banks, they will have the data analyst and all of that. We are beginning to see banks creating new roles in the digital space. You have people that work in what we call partnerships. Partnerships are the people that have the interaction with those partners that support the traditional banks, like the switching companies and all of that, and the e-commerce companies. So before, we didn't have such roles. We didn't have people who are in channels. Channels are the people that manage all the card products and all of that. We didn't have that before now in banks, but today we have people who manage this. So those are the new opportunities that have come out in traditional banks and are even more prevalent amongst the fintech companies. But like I said, it starts from an appreciation of the needs and the challenges customers are facing, assessing some of the financial products in the market in line with the way they want to be served today, and trying to think through those things and see how you can provide solutions that will enhance the customer experience.
Okay, Mr. Fidel, we have about 6 minutes to please round up on what you're talking. Yes, please, so that the next speaker can take on.
Okay. Remember again that I had said today like if you want to be an entrepreneur, it's easier today starting a fintech company or starting a bank than it was so many years ago. Before now, you need 25 billion naira to start a bank. The payment services bank, you need only 5 billion to start a payment service bank. That is where you want to own a full-fledged license. But you can also own a bank by creating applications that can serve as digital wallets, that you don't need those kind of money to go and start getting licenses. All you need to do is to partner with existing companies. So for those of us that might want to go into programming, there are a lot of opportunities to make money. You should just pick up a need in the financial services in terms of the way customers consume those products and how you want to create value to those customers. Just pick up one and build solutions around there. You have a business, you have a company of your own. It's easy today for young people to actually start companies. That's the truth of the matter. It's so easy. It might not even be your full flame, it might be other kind of services that will support the way people consume those products. Something that will facilitate and provide them with better information to make decisions in terms of the way they consume those products. So those are some other things they can do to own their own company, to run their own, to start off entrepreneurship journey without working for anybody. I tell people, if what we know today, if I knew it 15, 20 years ago, probably I would have started my own company when I started banking, because it's easier today to start your own business, mostly in the fintech digital banking space. Yes, okay. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry,
Yes.
Mr. Fidel. Yes, all right. Thank you very much. So your questions will be provided, and then at the end of Mr. Olugbenga's session, would like you to attend to these questions. Okay, we already have a question for you in the question section. All right.
Okay, that's
so the next, yes, so thank you very much. But before I go on to Mr. Olugbenga's session, from what I garnered during your discussion, you said that fintech is not limited to banks, it's not limited to startups, it's not limited to tech companies, it's not limited to e-commerce, people that engage in e-commerce and so on. You mentioned Amazon, you mentioned Alibaba, and then you also stated that CBN actually released a policy recently to buttress the fintech industry, and some implementations that would be made for the fintech industry, right? Am I in line?
Very correct, yes.
All right. So we also talked at length about WhatsApp, and then how WhatsApp are also trying to set up a payment gateway using WhatsApp. All right, and then so we tried to narrow it down to the topic of today's webinar: making a career as a student, making a career as a graduate, making a career as, or probably even as an employee. You know, I want to diversify because of the pandemic. You know, I want to have an extra means of income, and then so what can I do to have a career in the fintech industry? And then you pointed out that the mindset now is that it should be about providing solutions. You don't need to be a graduate in accounting. You don't need to be a graduate in banking and finance. You don't need to have a chartered certificate before you can be a fintech expert, right? So you said that for all of this to happen, you have to first identify the need, right? So once you identify the need, you'll be able to provide solutions, right? And then so you can pick your niche, and then you provide a solution. You can partner with banks, you can partner with businesses around you, and then by doing all of this, you'd be a fintech expert, right?
Very
Did
true.
I miss out?
Very true, yes.
All right. So we have questions for you, but we'd like you to answer just after Mr. Olugbenga rounds up this section. All right. So thank you very much for your discussion with us here. So Mr. Olugbenga, please, we would like you to take on the next session for the next 25 minutes. Okay, so please, would like you to handle the security session around fintech. You know, we've been having a lot of fraud in the fintech industry. We've been having a lot of frauds both nationally and locally, you know. So we'd like to know how security, how cyber security could solve fintech's challenges, you know. So please, Mr. Olugbenga, I would like you to please take on this next part of the webinar. So everyone, please welcome Mr. Olugbenga Rojai as he takes on this section. So Mr. Olugbenga, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Jumoke. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to, talk to people on this topic. It's very, very crucial because this is the world right now. This is what we have seen. If not for fintech, where would we be in this pandemic time? It's quite funny. It's quite not easy. It wouldn't have been easy if we don't have fintech industries in our environment, in our spaces right now. During this pandemic. Okay, I'll be sharing my screen. I have a slide that will just run through. That will help me to navigate appropriately so that I don't leave anything. Okay, so I have a few, about 9 slides, 9 pages to help walk us through. Can the host help me to be able to share my screen? Yeah. Okay. You can make me the host so that I can share my screen. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Can we all see my screen now?
Yes, Mr. Olugbenga, we can see your screen.
Okay. Thank you so much.
It's looking very beautiful.
Thanks. All right. Yes, so we'll be talking about making a career in the fintech industry. We all know fintech industry has been quite very popular in the midst of technical and financial guys. So one second. Okay, let me just make it in the presentable mode. All right. Okay. So I have about a couple of discussions to talk about. This is the agenda. The first thing to talk about is getting to know the presenter, that is myself. Then introduction, we talk about fintech, the history of fintech, and the likes of how many fintechs do we have that are doing so well in Nigeria and all that. Then we really drill down to what is actually fintech. Then the next thing is merit and demerit of the rise of fintech in Nigeria and Africa at large, because our space is Nigeria and Africa. A lot of fintech companies abroad, they've been doing so well, even more than what we have seen so far in Africa. But because we are in Nigeria and we are in Africa, we are going to narrow it down, okay, to Africa and Nigeria at large. And the second thing is, one second. Ways fintech revolution is disrupting the financial services sector, in-demand fintech. What does it take to transition into fintech industry? I think this is the zenith point in this presentation. Advice for those already in the industry, and as well as for those looking to move into the fintech sector. Advice for those already in the industry as well. So this is what we'll be talking about in this slide for the next 20 minutes. Myself, I'm Untitled, like I said. I'm a cybersecurity specialist. I've worked in the consulting space. I've been an ethical hacker. I've done pen testing jobs across Nigeria, taught in conferences within Africa, in Nigeria as well. Then I'm currently in the telecom space, okay? I've worked for fintechs as a consultant. I've done a lot for them in payment spaces, okay? I'm a qualified security assessor for payment cards. So this is just a little bit about me. All right, let's just get into the mood. Okay. The rate of change in financial services has rapidly increased over the years. So for the last 5 years or so, we've had digital transformation across technology space, across financial space, across all spaces majorly, even education, in regulatory bodies, all of them have now moved into technology. Fortunately, summarize how disruption from fintechs have impacted the financial ecosystem in the last few years, showing some ascertaining statistics. Fortunately, meanwhile, is a reporting or a magazine, an online magazine that reports about financial activities and growths and downs, ups and downs in financial spaces across the globe. All right, so they came out a couple of statistics regarding fintech. 75% of financial institutions want to innovate more. 60%.
It seems Mr. Lukbenga is having a bit of network issues. I can see that we're also having challenge with his sound. I could see that people are complaining about the fact that sharing his screen is reducing the quality of his communication. So, but from what I could summarize based on, okay, I think he's back now. So, Mr. Lukbenga, please, you can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can. Yes.
All right, thank you. We'll just move very fast now. Unfortunately, like I said, 60% of traditional banks would team up with the fintech startups, and 82% expect this partnership to expand within the next 5 years. You know, a lot of traditional banks, for example, First Bank of Nigeria, GT Bank of Nigeria, all these popular banking industry, they are now teaming up with financial technology companies to drive financial space, to drive payments, for example, to drive payment. We have InterSwitch that are doing the work. We have Paystack. We have a lot of payments fintechs that are into this space. All right. The next slide, we'll be talking about what is fintech actually. Financial technology is the full meaning of fintech. Using technology to drive financial industry. And basically, there are a lot of this kind of terminologies that we have in the industry. We have edutech or edtech. That's education and technology, using technology to drive education. For example, we have e-learning. Recently, we've seen a lot of trainings that are done virtually, just logging in, like what we are doing right now. We are doing a webinar session, is a form of learning. We are doing fintech. I mean, we are doing edutech. So that is an example. We have regtech, regulation and technology. Using technology, technology to drive regulation. For example, CBN and the rest of them, they have a platform where all banks, for example, all financial industry, they upload whatever documents, whatever standards they need to have, to do or to be compliant with. They upgrade and update all those things on that particular portal. So this is RegTech. The same thing applies to FinTech. We have financial technology to drive, business, to drive financial payments, financial activities. It could be payments, it could be investments, it could be anything. It is used to provide, enable, and enhance financial services such as payment, wealth management, money transfer, money lending, and so on. Okay, examples of popular, fintechs in Nigeria that we all know that we can easily associate with. We have AboPay. We have AboPay by Mira Technology itself. We have FlutterWave. FlutterWave are also driving a lot of payment system in Nigeria and across Africa. We have PayPal. This is a global company. We have Paystack as well in Nigeria. QuickTeller from InterSwitch, and OPay. We all know OPay. OPay, use OPay to pay and also for rides. We have GoCada. It's using technology to drive business as well. That's fintech. GoCada, what's it called now? This ride technology. We have Uber. We have Uber. A lot of fintech across the world right now. Merits and demerits of the rise of fintech in Nigeria and Africa. So what I mean here is basically the advantages and the disadvantages, what we have seen so far in the last couple of years since fintech started booming in Africa at large. Number one, the first thing is the financial industry itself is going through a transformation. For example, in the form of cost cutting, digitization, and efficiency. So this could be a merit or a demerit. That's the reason why I put it like this. Because when digitization occurs, it is an advantage. But during that process, for example, for companies that are just starting a fintech company, it could be expensive. It could be expensive. Some are also doing cost cutting rather. So this is the reason why I put it as merit and demerit. Okay. The second thing, as one of the leading financial hubs in Africa, Nigeria has a fair enough technology infrastructure, like a good fiber network in Africa. At least I've traveled to a couple of African countries, and I know Nigeria's internet is actually good. While our mobile, some people will argue with me that our net is fair enough. Okay, while our mobile subscription penetration is on the rise as well, key factors for fintech growth. It is very, very important. Many fintech firms seek to set up and operate in Nigeria and Africa at large for access to its obvious emerging markets. what Fintech has done so far in the last couple of years is that we've seen the guys from China came to invest millions of dollars, to this market in Nigeria. And I think they are doing pretty well since it started last year or so, and they have really penetrated the market. You can see what InterSwitch is doing. We have a lot. InterSwitch just partnered with Visa. They got millions of dollars as well. We have a lot of investors from China, from America, that are pushing money to Africa, because Africa is the space now, is the space for this kind of businesses. It's for example, I would say in Africa, we are still at our infants. Nobody has assessed or nobody have explored us really like how they've explored New York City or how they've explored America itself. Africa, in the last 5 years, about, let's say, 50 million or 40 million people were using smartphone in Nigeria, for example, 5 years ago. But right now, I think that statistic has skyrocketed over the years. I mean, from 40 million to about 120 something million recently. Number of people that are using internet mobile phone. I can now do payments on my mobile phone. I can use USSD to do transaction anywhere I am, whether I'm in my father's village or I'm in the city in Lagos. I can do USSD transaction anywhere, anytime. So these are the kind of things we're talking about in fintech. Fintech drives all these things. The ways fintech revolution is disrupting the financial services sector. All right. Globally, fintech growth started in trade financing. However, moving forward, below are the strong areas of fintech. Fintech business management. Like I said, fintech has driven a lot of businesses. Like you want to do investment, you want to invest in a business. Fintech has a portal, has a solution for that to help you drive this business. Wealth management. There are a lot of Ponzi schemes, for example, that fintech has driven in the last couple of years. We all know what's the name of this Ponzi scheme, that MMM. It's obviously fintech that drove that solution. Okay, automations of financial advice, for example, investment management and tracking of budgets. If I invest in something, I should in real time know what is going on. Okay, blockchain and cryptocurrencies. For example, we have Ethereum. All these technologies, financial technology space is driving them. Omni-channel customer experience. This simply means that we have SMS chats to drive solutions, to drive financial services. For example, customer service that needs to address or talk to customers, clients over the phone. They don't need to do that. Omni-channel simply use chat systems, SMS, or robotics, whereby as you're sending messages to them on the chat box, the robot is replying you and trying to implement artificial intelligence into these things, whereby it could ascertain and get whatever you're talking about and then reply you, give you a response based on whatever you have requested or asked the box. Customer service chatbots are also part of what Omni-channels does. The last thing here is open innovation for new developments. Because of fintechs, we have a lot of things that we can do in the solution space. All right, because this topic is really a career path in fintech. That's the reason I'm giving us this background of the thing, how to help us to see where we are coming from and where we're going, and how to plug in as a new person in the industry, or somebody that is in the industry but want to branch into fintech or want to start up fintech itself. So the first thing here is programming or developer roles. any solution that is driving fintech needs to be developed by programmers. There is no two way about it. So you need to be, for example, it's not compulsory you be a programmer or developer, but if you have these logical analysis skills, you can develop, you can write programs, then you should be looking into, you can look into this fintech role, because you'll be developing a lot of solutions. And fintech is very fast paced. It is really, really fast paced. It is agile. You need to eat and run. I mean, as you're thinking about it, you are developing. Okay, blockchain developer. There was a statistics I saw about how many you have 10 jobs, ratio 10 to 1. Yeah, 10 jobs and 1 applicant. Out of every 10 jobs, it is only 1 applicant you see for blockchain developers. And these are the kind of jobs we can easily plug into if you are looking for careers in fintech. Then cybersecurity professional, I myself am one of them. I'm a cybersecurity professional. As you are developing solutions, that solution, and any or anybody can easily attack or do anything on that solution, and then collect money, funds from any accounts all over across the banks that they have integrated with. So this is very, very important. The next thing, also we saw what happened recently about a couple of days back. Twitter was hacked, and big boys, I mean rich men, CEOs, what they did was they got their account and started tweeting, pay me 2 Bitcoin and I'll pay you 3 Bitcoin within 30 minutes. So people that fell for these gimmicks by these attackers, they actually paid quite a lot. And after 1 hour, we saw that the attackers actually received about $100,000 just an hour. You know, this is the type of thing we see in fintech, because Twitter can integrate Twitter with its API and then use your own solution to do payments. So it is very, very key to secure our solutions. Other one, user experience. I mean, UX designer. You can be a UX designer, a UX tester, UAT tester. You check for, do fault testing and all that. User interface designer as well. Front-end designer. You can be a front-end designer that just develops what happens at the front end, the web pages, as it is loading, what they see, that's what a user interface designer, that's what they do. Then also we have a full stack developer. A full stack developer develops the front end as well as the back end, and also any API integrations and database. They just do everything. That's why we call it a full stack development. So if you have this kind of skill, it is very important you try to leverage on this skill, develop yourself the more, so that you can easily navigate your way through fintech space. The next thing is digital project manager. Like we all know, I said fintech space is quite agile. That means that it is a fast-paced environment. You need to, as you are thinking, you are developing the solution. No slowing down. So a project manager, what they do is to manage all projects. Digital project, digitization of the entire infrastructure. Let's say a bank called a fintech to help them develop a solution, and you are managing everybody within the team to help drive the solution, and you must make it happen. All right, digital project management, very similar to what a digital project manager does. The product, the particular product you are trying to develop itself must be well managed so that we can deliver stuff. Financial or business analysts, compliance, legal experts. You can even imagine a lawyer working in the financial space. This is very key because there are a lot of regulatory compliance and regulatory standards you need to adhere to and you need to be compliant to. For example, in cybersecurity, there is Information Security Management System, ISO 27001, that CBN has mandated all fintechs to do. So now, before you get your license, you must be compliant to all these standards. So legal, compliance experts, information security, cybersecurity experts, they work together to achieve this. You need to get a license. You are going to fintech space. You want to start a fintech company. You need compliance team. To help you to solidify and get what you need to get from the CBN. The next thing is data scientists. As fintech companies are enhancing their offerings and capabilities, data analytics drives this business and process. Like I said, we have a lot of AI, artificial intelligence. You could imagine you talking about cat or dog on your phone, and you have applications on your phone. You have applications such as QuickTeller, Facebook, Twitter on your phone. But what you do is just talking about cat and dog. You'll be amazed that after 2 days, you'll be seeing ads on your Instagram account, Facebook account. You'll be seeing companies that are into the business of selling cats. Okay, you'll be seeing companies that are in the business of selling cats, selling dogs. This is what data scientists and AI data analytics, that's their work in the fintech space. Quantitative analysis as well. This is very, very similar to what data scientists, to what they do. All right. What does it take to transition into the fintech industry? From a technologist perspective, the first thing I'll talk about is to reskill yourself and pick up on trending technologies. Reskill yourself, pick up on trending technologies. Now you know that there is what we call mobile application development, Android, iOS development. What are you doing now? Probably you are still in school, or you just finished school, you're serving, or you are still under 30. You need to just move very fast, start learning all these things. It is still very pure right now to do that. Be part of collaborative platforms in order to showcase your capabilities and learn about trending technologies. Like I said, for example, you have joined this webinar session now. You're learning about fintech industry. So what we need to do is to join different groups. I myself, I'm in a lot of security groups. I'm in a lot of fintech groups. I've done fintech courses from EDX, from Harvard itself. So, albeit online, and some are actually free. So you don't need to even pay for all these things to get this knowledge. Just begin to drive yourself, to the extreme so that you can get the maximum skill level you require to easily transition into the industry. All right. If you have strong logical and critical thinking capabilities, consider moving into areas involving programming and coding, as these are logic-based. Like I said, if you have skills in programming and coding, it is very important. Logical thinking. Try and find a way to learn programming. There are a lot of programming languages. We have Python, we have Java, we have Ruby. Anything you can just lay your hands upon that you think you can easily grab, and you have a good tutor that can help you navigate in that space. Advice for those already in the industry, as well for those looking to move into the fintech sector. I will start with the fintech industry itself. The first thing to do is build the right thing. Like I said, we talked about projects managers, product managers, compliance team, security team, and all those people. You need them to really help you to drive your business. Get inventory of everything you need to start up with. Like you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. And then, because this space is quite fast-paced, like I said, it's quite agile, you need to be on your toes and you need to learn from experience. Get experience as well. Experience is very key. If you don't have any experience in financial sector or technology sector, how are you going to drive a business, a fintech business? So even if it is working in a bank for a couple of years, or I mean, having something to do with finance, it is very key to understand how it works. You cannot want to develop a solution that helps do an insurance application or an investment application or a payment application, and you don't understand how financial sector or payment system works. So you need experience really in this industry. I mean, to be able to easily navigate yourself within. Then also, if you have any questions, just be typing the question. I will see them as when I finish this presentation. Then I will go straight into the questions and answer section.
Okay. All right. So Mr. Lugbenga, sorry to actually cut you off from there because of time. I would like to also narrow it down a little bit to our today's topic, making a career in the fintech industry, considering security and fintech. So first of all, you mentioned a very important and trending issue we're having right now in the country, around the globe. You talked about Twitter and how they were hacked, and some amount of money was moved. You gave us a range, and I'm sure that they're working on it. So let me take it from the hacking. So let's say, for example, I already have a fintech company. I have my front end developers. I have my back end developers. I have my compliance officers. I have my license. I have all the things I need. So how am I, as a company, how can I prevent my solution, my mobile app solution, my Apple Pay payment solution, how can I prevent it from being hacked? In quotes, how can I prevent it from being hacked? How can I prevent myself from, falling prey to phishing, to Trojan? How can I know that, okay, that I got an email and then this email is not from my company? So how can I put all these things in place as a company? How, as a student, how can I make sure that I'm properly secured, my mobile device is secured, my system is updated and all of that? So please, I would like you to, take us that lane so that we'll be more enlightened. Mr. Gulugbenga.
Thank you, Jumoke. Thank you so much for that question. I wouldn't want to go too technical, so that everybody can easily understand what we're talking about, because I understand that it's not only technical guys that have joined this, most especially the topic itself is not for really, really experienced guys. All right. It's just to making a career in this industry. So back to your question. So as simple as trying to ensure any link that is sent to you before you click on it, as little as that, like check very well to be sure. You don't just fall victim of, because the number one vector or type of attack that we see now is social engineering, sending links and attachments to emails, to organizations, to people, to individuals. Somebody can chat you on WhatsApp and send you a video or a link or whatever, and you click on it. Now they've owned your system remotely. So these are very, very key. Try to ensure that you know the people that are in your contacts and they are sending you messages or mails. Second thing is ensure you have antivirus solutions. Okay, anti-malware solutions. Try to install anti-malware on your phones, on your laptops, on your systems. Also, for people developing payment application or any applications, really, generally there are some things that we call the knowns unknowns, the known and the unknowns. Like, you don't know that you are hacked. You don't know that your applications are vulnerable to any kind of attack. There are some also that you know that they are vulnerable, but you've tried to do a risk assessment of a security risk assessment on those applications. So the first thing is to at least do information security standards, like to be compliant to information security standard, like information security management system, because they have a couple of requirements that of the baseline or at the baseline, they help you to basically ensure that you're on top of your game. All right. Like you have a payment application, you don't have a firewall, you don't have a web application firewall, you have not configured anything, you expose your username and password, you are using password, guessable passwords, no password complexity, no lockdown, you are not using two-factor authentication on your application. All these things are very essential. So you need a cybersecurity professional to help you in your environment. If you have a payment application, or you are developing a payment application or a financial application, you need to test your API integration with all your applications to see if they are secured or not. So you need a cybersecurity consultant. You don't even need to really, if you don't have the capital to employ them and pay them, what you can do is once in 6 months or once in a year, you can talk to them, come and do this for me. And they just probably charge you something, so that they can easily test your application and see where all your weaknesses are. And then you can remediate those things. So basically, I think I've answered your question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olubinga. You extensively spoke about my question. So thank you, Mr. Fidel, and thank you, Mr. Olubinga, for this enlightening session. So just before we entertain questions and answer, we already have some questions for both the two guest speakers. I would like to just summarize what Mr. Fidel and Mr. Olubinga said. So Mr. Fidel said, took it from the angle of the financial institution. He first of all started with the history of a financial institution, and then he took us to how we could provide solutions. So he said we shouldn't just limit it to banks. We shouldn't just limit it to payment gateways. That as a person, as a student, as a programmer, as an employee, once you're able to find the need, once you know what people need, you can be able to provide a financial solution to it. And then Mr. Olugbenga backed it up by saying that all of this can only be possible if you're secure. So if your front end is secure, your back end is secure, your designs are top notch, you're in line with the your country's regulation, just as we have CBN and all of that. So thank you very much once again to our guest speakers. So we'd like to entertain questions for the participants. So the first question I can see here is that for a company that don't sell products but render services, what impact will fintech have, creating impact for the company? So I'm sure Mr. Benga and Mr. Fidel heard the question. The person said, this was Mr. Joshua's question, that for a company that don't sell products but they actually offer services, what impact does fintech have in that company? So either of the two guest speakers can answer, but I'll prefer Mr. Fidel to take this question. So Mr. Fidel, please.
Is Mr. Fidel going to answer that, or I just take it?
Mr. Benga, please, if you can assist, please go ahead. It seems there's a network downtime on Mr. Fidel's end.
Okay, so basically, you said for a company, that's from Joshua, for a company that don't sell products, but render services that impact, what will impact will fintech have creating, impact for the company.
Can you hear me?
But I think
Yeah,
we can hear you. I was just trying to talk through whatever Joshua was trying to pass here. For a company that don't sell products but render services, what impact will fintech have creating impact for the company? I will just try to understand it. Reply you in my understanding of your question. So a fintech helps organizations to drive their businesses, most especially financial organizations. But if your company do not necessarily need to sell products before fintech can help you achieve your goal. All right. So whatever service you render, it might be a payment, it might be a consulting service, it might be anything. Fintech will still help you. If you are doing consulting, you are selling solutions, you are selling anything, you are doing any service, and people need to pay to your account. You go through payment gateway, payment solutions that will help you to drive that through very fast. If you are in, for example, people in India or people in China, they are selling trainings, cybersecurity trainings, information technology trainings. These are services that they render, but we pay for it from here, and I don't even need to go to my bank. I just do it on my phone and I pay. Under a couple of minutes, they send me a mail that they've received their payment, my payment. So these are ways and patterns whereby fintech industry is helping and can also help further drive businesses across. I think I've been able to answer your question one way or the other. Mr. Fidelis, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yes, Olumide. Sorry, I had a bit of a glitch with my internet connection. Yes, so sorry about that. Like Benga normally really said, every business, no matter what you do, it's about making money. And your clients must pay you for your services. Today, people are trying to make those payment arrangements more efficient in terms of collecting your monies. In accounting, there's something we call receivables. That's you taking care of accounting for how much of those services you've rendered, you've not collected your money. So you need to automate all of those platforms in your accounting system. So it might come, like Benga said, in terms of creating those payment gateways to collect your money. It might also come in the form of automating your accounting system within your company so that you'll be sure of what your cash flows are looking like. So that will help you to plan. So that's an extension of fintech, how that can help you work. Every company today that renders services installs what we call paywalls on their platforms. That enables your clients to pay you, readily, instead of you waiting for those payments to reflect through the bank and all of that. So it means your customers can pay you either through cards, using their credit cards, debit cards, as the case may be, on your platform. So that you're not a financial service does not mean fintech is not going to support you. You don't need the support of fintech to do your business because you're in the business of making money. So automating and making efficient your collection processes of your funds, of the monies that are being paid to you by your customers, and automating your accounting operations within your system so they'll be accountable, transparent to all stakeholders, and know at every point in time you're making profit and know how to make decisions to optimize the business and the investments you're making. It's also part of what the fintech will help you do in your company.
All right, thank you very much to our speakers for answering that question extensively. So moving on to the next question. Okay, so an anonymous person asks that, how can a business person make a career in the fintech industry? So this question is actually available for either of the speakers. How can I make a career in the fintech world as a business person? So please, anyone can answer.
Okay. Do I take it? Benga, you're muted. Okay, you're muted, Benga.
Yeah, I'm muted. Okay, please take it.
Okay. The person is asking how can a business person make a career in fintech, right? Oh, awesome.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
I will look at it from the point of view of an investor, because if you're a business person, means probably you have brilliant or innovative business ideas, or you have money to invest. So my understanding there is that you might not be particularly a tech-savvy person. You might not have a profound experience in the fintech or financial services sector, but you can make those investments, right? So you can look for partnerships, like I said, with people who understand the industry, if the industry so fascinates you or appeals to you. But like I've always said, the important thing is for you to understand the needs available, or the needs or the challenges the customers or the people are experiencing in terms of payments, in terms of financial services, in terms of the solutions they are getting from the existing firms, and see how you can bring unique value to the market. So those are some of the ways. If you discover those opportunities and you don't have the technical capacity to do that, so you can partner with people and make the investments as the case may be, or even sit on the board of those businesses and help in the management, in the governance structure of those businesses, to make sure that those businesses are properly run, and they are creating those values and bringing those solutions to the market. Hello, Benga. Yeah.
Mr. Benga, please go ahead.
Okay. I think that's a good point from Mr. Fidel. He went into the area whereby people that have the money, have the capital to invest into fintech. Okay, for some business people as well, that what they do is probably business consulting, or they understand business and how it works. So it is, in fact, that's the most essential skill you need to enter fintech, because you understand how businesses and everything works. It will help you, to really be successful in the fintech, financial technology industry. So what you just need, as Mr. Fidel said, is to partner with technical guys that can easily help whatever you're thinking in your head, that can make it a reality, into actualization. You're thinking, we can do this business model, we can do this like this, we can do that like this, we can do that. And PAM, like I said, it is fast-paced, agile. Then easily you have the solution at your table. So you need to partner with technical guys and product managers to help you facilitate this business. I think that's that. Let's move to the next question.
All right, thank you so much for answering these questions extensively. So the next question is actually directed to Mr. Fidel, and it's coming from Mr. Oluwapomile. So he said, thank you, Mr. Fidel. So the question is that he needs you to be precise. And then he's saying that, for example, he wants to go to the bank. Let's say, for example, again, he's going to the head office. Who are they supposed to meet with? So that they can share the vision with the right person, so that somebody else would not impersonate their idea as a person or as a company. So he's saying that, to sum it up, he's saying that who exactly are they supposed to meet with? Are they supposed to go to the branch office? Are they supposed to go to the head office? And then if they go to the branch, who are they supposed to talk with about their business idea, And so he just wants you to shed more light on this question. Okay, so thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jumoke. Thank you, Mr. Oluwapomile. Today, almost all the banks, I don't want to say all the banks, because I don't know, but I know that almost all the banks have what we call digital banking heads, or head of digital banking, or head of innovation, or the head of e-business, as the case may be. So as somebody who has a digital banking solution, or an idea that can provide those unique value propositions to the customers in the market, so the best person to meet is actually the person that drives or leads that digital business or transformation in the bank. So usually it's the head of digital banking, head of innovation, or head of e-business. But I want to provide a bit of advice here. So when you're meeting them, you don't need to lay all the the cards on the table, so you can actually protect your idea. I mean, so that nobody steals your idea. You can start by defining and making them to understand that your level of understanding of the problems that customers are facing in the market, or level of the challenges or needs that need to be plugged in the market, or the gaps that need to be plugged in the market. So you tell them that you know exactly what to do, to provide. You don't need to provide at that first meeting or that initial proposal. Usually it might be something like an executive summary or just a small proposal you'll be giving to them. So you don't need to present to them entirely, because at that point you're not signing a contract. But also, if after that first meeting, you think they give you the impression that they want to work with you, so you must get them to sign what we call a non-disclosure agreement with them before you go any further. So that means that whatever conversation you're having with them is not going to be disclosed to a third party. So you can also build in a clause inside that non-disclosure agreement saying that what I'm presenting to you, this solution I'm presenting, you're not going to go and run with it without me being part of it. From that, so that a large extent is a legal document that will protect you. Just like your question is, you don't go and introduce your idea to them. The next day they are implementing it in the market and looking like they're very set of smart people, So the person to go to, like I said again, is the head of digital banking, head of innovation, head of e-business, depending on what the bank designates that function or that responsibility in the bank, and make sure that you don't also completely divulge your business model completely the way it is, but you can give them an overview of what you want to do from your understanding of the need you want to, a solution you want to bring to a need in the market. Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
I hope that answers your question. Yes.
I'm sure it would have answered it to a large extent. So thank you very much once again, Mr. Fidel, for answering that question. So the next question, Mr. Fidel, is coming from Mr. Emeka. So he's saying that, for example, how easy or hard is it for a startup to find their feet in the fintech industry? So looking at the country we're in now, the pandemic, looking at government policies, our environment, some people are still finding it difficult to digitalize. They prefer working physically into the bank to make payments, to receive money. So he's saying that how easy or how difficult, what are the things we need to do to find his feet as a startup in the fintech industry in Nigeria, for example?
Okay.
Mr. Fidel, please.
Yeah, yes. Thank you, Emeka. Great, Emeka. That's what I'm seeing here. Great, Emeka. Thank you, great, Emeka, for your question. That's actually interesting because a lot of people believe that a fintech business also who have that notion that is difficult. I wouldn't say it's easy or difficult, but I want to provide some perspective here that will guide you in understanding how you can get into the market. So it's for you to decide whether it's easy from your perspective, because what might be easy to you might not be easy to me. I'll just give you an example. Usually, the traditional method of setting up business before now required a lot of investment. COVID has shown us that we can actually run businesses without making some of those legacy investments, those traditional investments that people make. So I'll give you an example. If you want to start a business 2, 4, 5 years ago, you want to get an office that is big, employ people and all of that, get a space, a designated space, maybe a 3-bedroom apartment, a space that is sizable, that can hold all of you together. But today you don't really need to do that. Mostly for a fintech company, it can actually assemble a group of people together that work remotely. They don't need to be all clustered in one place. So you can create digital platforms where you guys will be collaborating as you work. There are a lot of collaboration tools that you can use today to be working remotely, and it will be looking like all of you are in the same room working. So that one has taken out the investment you would have made in getting an office and all of that. So the only thing that might cost you is the cost of data and all of that, and probably the subscription to the platform, which might not be as expensive as getting a full-fledged office in a strategic place. That's number one. Number two, if you're going to also have a physical office somewhere, it means that you're going to get people to give them full-time jobs. So people resume with you in the morning, they close by 6, maybe a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 6 kind of job, you pay them fully. But now, because you want to set up a digital a business, a fintech business, you can partner with people. You can even partner with Benga, who are talking here, partner with Mira Technology on a freelance basis. What I mean, on a pay-as-you-go. So you're only paying for the services that are bringing at a point. So you monetize each of those services and pay in pockets of services that bring it. So if Benga is going to provide you cyber security solutions, you pay him for it. So he's not going to be a full director of that company. If Mira Technologies is going to provide you, building the program, the software, you don't need a Jumoke or Jumoke's boss to be part of the company. You can pay them. So you can have people who work in partnerships with you to build that. So you won't have that overhead cost of having so many staff working with you, be paying salary every month. Meanwhile, they're not doing so much to you in the immediate. So that helps you to manage redundancy. That helps you to manage your operating costs. You've seen that we've taken care of the fixed cost there, which is the building. We've taken care of operating costs as the case may be. Remember, when you don't have a building, you're not paying for fuel, you're not paying for diesel, you're not paying for NEPA. That's a lot of cost. So it's becoming easy. Practically, if you're looking at it, it's becoming a lot easy, right? So again, because you're hiring people on freelance basis, you have that flexibility of canceling the contracts, because the contract will be for specific functions. So if the person is not properly doing it, he can call off or cancel that contract or hire another person. So it gives you that flexibility, unlike where you sign on somebody, probably you give him a contract, you're going to be on probation for 6 months. And that 6 months probation, you must be paying him, because you can't sack the person within probation. Probation has not expired. Whether the person works or not, you'll be paying the person. That's the cost. But if you have a contract with a main guy here, within 3, you can make it 3 months renewable. If within 3 months he doesn't give you the service, he doesn't renew the contract. You sign with Mr. XYZ. So that also provides you flexibility, which comes with it's also important, like I've always said, that you understand, again, the business, as in the landscape, the needs in the market, so you can adapt your solution to specifically to address those needs in the market. Because some of the inherent costs in setting up a business is, you start a business, you create a product based on what you think is the problem you have in the market. When you come out to the market, you see that the customers are not buying that product, or they're not satisfied with the solution you're bringing, because you've not tested that. But to run a fintech company, it comes with a business model of what we call, probably, like Wega has said, agile business models and what we call design thinking. That means you have to take a stance, like you're the customer, and understand the customer needs, and keep tweaking, what we call it iteration. Keep presenting and reviewing those problems as you bring them to the customer, and encounter more problems and review. So that makes sure that the investment you're making in building the solution to that problem does not go to waste. So at every point that is evolving and fine-tuning the solution. Yes.
Mr. Fidel, sorry, because of time, we'll have to consider time and also answer other questions.
He's an interesting person, really.
Yes,
so
that's why I gave it that length of time. But we also need to attend to other questions. Sorry for cutting you. Okay, so the next question we have, this is actually for people that are actually in the fintech industry. Okay, they've graduated, and then they want to know what are the skills. Let's say, for example, I graduated with the batch B that passed out yesterday or 2 days ago, and then my next thought is I want to have a skill set in the fintech industry. What are the skill sets I need? What are the things I need to put in place? What are the links? Mr. Benga was talking of EDS, he was talking of Harvard Business School, I've also heard of Coursera and all of that. So what are the things I need to have, to be a fintech expert, whether in the security field or as a business analyst, so please enlighten us on that. So it's either for Mr. Olubenga or for Mr. Fidel, please. Either of you could take it.
Okay, I think I touched that earlier in my presentation. Okay, basically, how can a young or graduate, a recent graduate, see himself or herself in this fintech space? really, it is very, very easy. Just know your strengths. Try to know your strengths. Are you a business guru in the making? Or are you a developer, serious technical person in the making? By understanding yourself, you'll be able to easily know which one to navigate to. I will use myself as an example. I never studied computer science. Now I teach people that study computer science, ethical hacking, and all that. Why? Because when I finished, I knew I love computers, I love reading and all that. So I just, when I finished service, I mean, while still serving, I started doing CCNA, that networking courses, started doing some technical courses and all that, because I knew that even when I finish, I don't just want to go to try and look for jobs as a banker or a teller. Common thing everybody does that time, when we finished a year that time. So what I did was to, develop myself. Even after that, I went back, after service, I went back to Aptech. If you have, I don't know if we know Aptech. It's just like NIT. I studied programming a little bit and networking to strengthen it very well. After which, I then moved to India to study cybersecurity for almost a year. That helped me to strengthen my cybersecurity skills the more, before I now came back to venture boom into the market itself. So really, you need to understand your strengths and your skills. If this is your interest, if something doesn't interest you, then there's no really point looking for career in that space. But if something, you don't need to be a technical person, mind you. You can be a business guru or a compliance person or a legal person or something. Just know that you are the kind of skill sets you are trying to grow must be a professional skill, not like a teller skill where the Access Bank MD can wake up tomorrow morning and say, we are sacking our teller. Just make sure that it is a skill that is professional. I mean, it's a skill that is professional. So that when you grow that skill to a level, in fact, you don't need to even look for work. Work will find you. I can assure you that. I think I answered that. Let's move to the next question.
All right, Mr. Lubenga, thank you very much for the answers you provided. I'm sure that we touched Mr. Alajiri's question extensively. So the next question is, I think this belongs to you, Mr. Lubenga, so you still need to stay with us. They said, please show more light on how to know genuine mail received from company one. Okay, probably what the person is saying is that, how do I know a genuine email? Then how do I know a genuine email from probably one of maybe the company I'm working with or people I have business relationship with? So how do I know that email is genuine? How do I know that it has not been hacked, or they've not tampered with it, or they've tweaked the information? So please enlighten us on that, please.
Thanks. I think the person is trying to know more on how to understand genuine email received from company, the organization, each organization is doing business with. Like if you are doing business with a particular organization, and that organization, perhaps you are at the point of doing invoices, doing all those documentation, financial document that needs payment, account number, all those things. Let me just quickly tell us this example. We all know the story of Hush Puppy and what they do. What they do is simply business email compromise. It's simply called business email compromise, BEC, whereby they attack a company's email gateway and domain controllers, and they try to sniff whatever emails that are incoming mails and outgoing mails. When it gets to the point of invoice, then they cut you at that point, get the invoice, edit it, and then throw it back to the recipient, to your client, of which the client will know what is going on. Then they'll just go ahead and forward the money to that malicious account. So that is simply BEC. That's how it works. So how do you genuinely understand how, the security or the person you are sending mail to is the genuine person? When somebody sends you a mail, don't just click. It's very important. The first line of defense in security is user awareness and personnel awareness. All right, don't just click the mail. Ensure you understand, read the context. Understand if the person writing the email is writing correct English, correct grammar. At times you see all these people, they don't understand to even how to construct themselves appropriately. So try to filter that. After that, there is an icon you can easily click over your mouse. When you hover your mouse on that email box, you will see where the email is coming from. Probably it's a genuine email or not. After which, even when you see that it is a genuine email, there's a point you get to in advanced penetration testing or security. I can even create a domain that will be like your own. They call it email spamming. I'm sending you email from your own email. I will send it. So it is coming from a genuine account. So how do you know? Ensure when you want to download that document, don't just download the document when you don't expect it. If you don't expect a document, don't download it. If you don't expect a link from a client, don't click on it. And if you are expecting a document from a client, click on it, open the document. If it is an invoice, call the client, the recipient, and confirm the details from them again. It doesn't take you over 2 minutes to do that. Hello, I've seen your email. The account number is so. And then you can go ahead and do the payment. That's how to ensure you are not going to be compromised in email, because email protocol, for me, is the most vulnerable protocol. It's not even HTTP, because you can hack any email at any point, even if they are using a secured email protocol. It is very, very easy for you to hack. I believe I've answered that.
All right, thank you very much. So we'll be wrapping up shortly, but let's just see how many more questions we can answer before we end the webinar. So the next question is coming from an anonymous person. So I'm assuming this person is a stay-at-home person, especially because of the lockdown, and then the person is trying to keep safe, So the person said, how can I build a career in fintech while working from home? So it's an open question for any of my speakers, please. So how can we build a career while working from home? So please, either of you could do the honors.
Okay, I will quickly say something, maybe I will conclude it. It's interesting that today, the way the economy is evolving, the digital economy is evolving, is that working from home is going to be an alternative to regular, traditional way of work. So we're going to be seeing a lot of working from home kind of arrangements with most firms, mostly with most of the, some of these digital and innovative companies. So like I said, it has become a kind of cost-saving business model for people to run businesses. It's cheaper for a lot of people. It doesn't take away from the value the person is going to be creating for the company. So I believe as a stay-at-home mom, there are going to be a lot of opportunities, job opportunities out there for people like that. In the fintech industry, I'm going to start seeing advertisement for things like the data analyst, data specialist, app developers, and all of that. You don't need to come to the office to be a data analyst. All you need to do is to have a link or a platform, like I said, for collaboration that can give you access to the database or the work platform of the institution or the company you're working for, so they can collaborate with the people that sit in the office or your colleagues that also work from home from other parts of the country, other parts of the world. We're even going to start seeing where people that work in a firm in Nigeria are going to be working from Ghana, from Singapore, from Brazil, in a company in Nigeria. Yes, if that the skill that you need to drive that business, it's the person that can provide it for you is in Singapore. You give the person the job and he or she works from here. It's getting a lot interesting. So today and going forward, we are going to be seeing a lot of work from home arrangements with firms. Even banks in Nigeria are beginning to consider whether they need to keep everybody in the office. From next year, people are going to be given the option of at the point. So it's interesting time. We're going to see such a point. Those conversations are happening at the senior level. We're having those conversations in banks, in organizations. So it's not going to be a problem at all, madam. Such opportunities will be available. Then also as an entrepreneur that wants to work in the fintech industry, it's even more interesting because it means you can, like I said at the beginning, you can do your work and set up your company from your home without owning a physical office, because nobody really knows you. They want to know, as long as the branding is right, people know that the brand is properly done, the brand promotion is properly done out there, the brand positioning is properly done, you're building a good brand identity and all of that. So people are identifying with brands even without knowing where the companies are. So you spend a lot of money in building the brand integrity, the brand identity, and all of that. So once you do that, you can work from your home and still do your work without owning a physical office anywhere. That's it. Most of the digital banks today are coming up without physical structures anywhere. A lot of them, you have the abroad, you have the Simple, you have the Mondo, you have the Movon. A lot of them are coming on without having, apart from one small head office somewhere where the major people sit. So it's interesting times, actually. I hope
Thank you, Mr. Fidel. Yes, you've actually said some interesting and very exciting, juicy promises. So, Mr. Olugbenga, do you have anything to add to this before we move to the next question, please?
Basically, I think, in fact, because of what pandemic has given us, it has, even myself, I work so the same thing applies for the lady asking us how to move into this space whilst she's still working from home. So really, there are a lot, like I said, there are a lot of fintech is even helping us drive education. That's edtech. Learn as much as possible from home. Go to e-learning platforms. For example, I have Udemy accounts. I have e-learn security accounts. I have offensive security accounts. I have some the programming EDX account where I learn all these technologies and latest development and technologies in the industry. I have to, upgrade myself. Even as a security personnel, you have to still catch up and do the needful every time, every single day. So as you're at home, what you need to do right now is to continue to learn. That time will come where you easily navigate, transition into the fintech space. Just continue to, if you want to be a digital marketer, there are a lot of courses online, free courses for that matter. Just start from there. Continue learning, continue to develop your skills and read articles. What I do most of the time is I read articles often. Some people who have developed something, I will just read through it and try and familiarize myself. I remember when blockchain started, blockchain technology really came up about 4 years ago. I started learning it like very deep. I went deep to the point that I could develop a few blockchain myself. This is the kind of experience we are talking about. When you go, for example, I go for a blockchain interview now, although I'm not an expert in that area, but I could easily talk through any interview and discuss what blockchain technology is with anybody. I can even show you I do all these things. I go through ledger system and all those things. So you need to learn, give yourself, improve in whatever technology you fit that you feel that you can easily, grow in that light. So just develop yourself, continue learning. That's all I can say. Continue learning. Experience will come in, then you can easily now move into this space. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. Several questions at the same time. So the first one is from Mr. Joe once again. So he said, how can I garner experience required to run in a fintech organization? Do I necessarily need to be in the financial sector can have the experience? So I'm sure that you heard what Mr. Lubenga said earlier. He said you need to get experience, you need to take courses. Most of them are free on EDX or Strava, to pick your niche. For edutech, he mentioned edutech, he mentioned digitech, he mentioned a lot of tech. So you have to pick your niche. If you're going to go for programming, if you're going for security, just pick whatever one you have. And then you also could volunteer. There are some organizations that are just looking for volunteers, So by the time you have a lot of volunteer jobs you've done, I'm sure that at the end, you might not even need to look for a job, Companies will start asking for it because of the experience you have, because of the skill acquisition you've gathered over the period of time. So the next question is also coming from Ogo. Ogo said, in terms of security, Mr. Lubenga, I hope you're taking note of that. How do you assure your customers that their money is safe with you, that hacking is near impossible? So let me take it again. How, in terms of security, can you assure your customers that their money is safe with you and that hacking is near impossible? So I think it's a two-in-one question. Mr. Fidel might also need to come into this because of the money aspect, and then in terms of security, hacking, how important it is, the percentage level and all of that. So please, Mr. Olubenga, please take over.
Okay, thank you, Jumoke, for that question. I've been looking at that question. I appreciate the person that asked the question. So really, for a platform or an application to be secured, or for you to show to your customers or your clients that your platform is secure, there are some steps that you take. For example, if you are developing a payment application, for example, Apple Pay, PayPal, GTPay, anything payment application, you need to do a PCI DSS, that's Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. You have to be in compliance to that particular standard. When you have that in your inventory or on your table, then you can add it on your website that, see, this application, it has gone through the process of attaining PCI DSS. So it is really secure. Then there's no way you go through the PCI DSS requirements that at least one way or the other, you won't be secure. Because PCI DSS talks about firewall, talks about even HR security, physical security. It talks about application security. It talks about secure coding. How do you develop your applications? You develop your application in a secure manner. That's what we call security by design. You don't just develop application, you impute security as you are developing. As you are programming, you are infusing security. How do you achieve that? Train your developers in secure coding. There is a way you code in a secure manner. So all these things are embedded inside PCI DSS standard. So if you have gone through that standard and you are, they've given you the certificate, you certified to that standard, you can post it, brag about it, post it on your social media and post it on your website. That's how you get clients, more clients. Then for for standards as ISMS, Information Security Management System, there are also a lot of things that you need to go through. Business continuity. If there is anything that happens, your business will always continue. For example, this pandemic, nobody knows that we won't be going to office. I've not been in the office for the last 4 months, like I said, but business is still as usual. You understand? So all these things you need to go through some security requirements and standards, and you need to be certified to them, and you must ensure that you post them online so that everybody can see that you are doing the needful. Don't forget, being compliant to a standard does not mean you cannot be hacked, but you've done your due diligence. Then ensure that ethical hackers or penetration testers seldomly test your applications and platforms if there are vulnerabilities on them. So before the bad guys or bad actors, before they get into your environment, you have employed about a couple of hackers, ethical hackers, to do the needful for you. Then they will tell you, these are the areas we found wanting in your network space. Kindly close them, remediate them. So that's what you do constantly, consistently. You be up in your game, on your toes, and you'll be fine. So these are the things that you'll be bragging about. You can show even auditors from anywhere in the world that, oh, we are doing our due diligence. I think with that, you'll be fine. That's how it works. Yeah.
Mr. Fidel, please, do you have anything to add to what Mr. Olubenga said?
Well, that's more like Mbega was able to explain it. You know, he's the specialist in the cybersecurity. So I completely agree with him. Want to have such certifications, you have to put it out there, you know, to show your relevance and your competence. And for me, it was spot on.
All right, thank you very much to my guest speakers. You've actually answered all of our questions to a large extent. I'll be taking this note to apologize on the questions we will not be able to take because of time. However, we'll take them and they would probably send you an email to answer the questions. We would send it to our speakers so that they can provide answers, and then we'll send it back to you as an email. Okay, so the link to the slides and the video of the recording will be provided also after the webinar. All right, and so once again, the topic is making a career in the fintech industry, and then Mr. Fidel brought us up to speed with what people are doing. So it's not only limited to the financial institution, it's not limited to the bank, you know, it's not limited. So as a person, as a group of people, you could come together, find a problem, provide a solution, and then, you know, you could then come to experts. You could come to people like Mr. Lugbenga to teach you how to be secure, how to limit your hacking, you know, how to make sure that you're secure, you know, your website is secure, your front end and your back end is on point, and all of that. So at this point, I'll be giving the honors to the CEO of Mira Technologies to do the honors by taking the conclusion and then ending this webinar. All right. So Mr. Ifeanyi Fabunike, please, if you can hear me, please kindly take over the conclusion of this webinar. Mr. Ifeanyi, please, are you there? Mr. Ifeanyi, if you can hear me, to listen. Mr. Ifeanyi, please, if you can hear me, please, would like you to say some things before we end the webinar. Okay, it seems that it's not available at the moment. Okay, I think it's available now, but I'll still take 2 or more questions just before he comes. I think he's almost ready, but let me take 2 more questions before he's ready to end the webinar. So let me look at a question from one of our participants that we have not taken. Mr. Joshua, I can see you have a lot of questions for us. I would apologize. I will need to take some other people's question, okay? So someone said that card payments are coming or they're actually taking over checks, which I actually said earlier. I, as a person, I wouldn't want to walk into the bank when I can use my mobile device to make payments, whereby I can use my USSD to make payments. So the question is going to Mr. Benga or Mr. Fidel that how can we, as a fintech company, how can we take over, instead of using check, how can we take over card payments using the company Admira Technologies? So Mr. Fidel or Mr. Benga, please kindly do the honors by answering this question.
Okay. I believe the question is card payments are fast taking over checks. Yeah. How safe are these card payments in fintech industry? Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay. So card payments, the way card payment is, card payments is very, very critical because with card payments, you don't need to be there. You don't need to be physical at your presence does not need to be physical when we are trying to make payments or receive payments. What you need to do is your card details. Let's give out your card details. For example, when you are trying to do your iPhone, you're trying to buy anything on your iPhone, you need to put your card details, your PAN, primary account number, those, that's 16 digits account number, then your CVV as the, that's very important code, three digits at the back of your card, then the expiry date. So this information is very critical in card payment systems. And when you are doing this card payment system, that is why there is a regulatory body called PCI Council, Payment Card Industry Council. We have 5 members that came together to start this council. We have Visa, we have MasterCard, we have JCB, we have American Express, and we have Discover. The 5 card brands came together to form this standard. And that is why the standard is very, very important for any business or fintech that is into card payment. You need to be sure that they are doing best practices before they can launch their application or their platform. All right. So in the card payment industry, I believe we are safe. Although there are oftentimes we see issues with card payments, but if you are doing the needful, for example, I'm a card auditor myself, assessor myself. I've seen some environments whereby their firewall is inside the network. They don't have any WAF and they are doing card business. They don't have any security solution or infrastructure in place to help drive and secure their solution. While on the web, you could easily check the source page and you find card details, the API keys, which is very obvious for an attacker to use and then use it to achieve whatever malicious activity the attacker needs to do. So that is the reason why we need to do our own due diligence. All right. So card business is very good, it's very safe if we are doing our part. It is when we are not doing our part, then obviously we'll be vulnerable. Like you need to implement, for example, a security event and incident monitoring tool. Security incidents and event management. All that tool, what it does is, if somebody is logging on your application, it captures it, sends the administrator alert. When somebody is trying to run an executable file on your servers, trying to escalate his or her privilege, the SIM tool will raise an alert that so person is trying to do this from this location. You can easily go there and block it, investigate, then continue your business as usual. But a lot of the times, people will be like, I've spent a lot. I can't buy a 1,000 naira, $1,000 solution to help me with this. These are security solutions that will help us drive our businesses. So we need to implement all those things before we can say we are secure. If not, I believe we'll be vulnerable to attacks. All right. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much to both of our speakers for answering that to a large extent. Okay, so I'll take up one more question before I call our CEO to summarize on this webinar. So the last question I'll take before I have a question that I would like our CEO to take. He said, the anonymous person said, he or she wants to know about making payments with USSD code. And then can Mirror Technologies help with this, and how is it done? Okay, so that's the question I'll direct to our CEO. But the question I'll direct to our guest speakers is, Mr. Olubenga, this is coming from Mr. Joshua. For example, I have my team, the front and back end line, programmers and all of that. How effectively can you guide against hackers from within? Okay, so Mr. Olubenga, I hope you had the question that he has everything set up and all of that, but how can he prevent hackers from?
Okay, this is very simple. This is very simple and not hard. Most of the time, when we see a compromise, it must have been from within the environment. It must have been from probably disgruntled personnel that are trying to, just make the company suffer one way or the other. But what we realize now is security is very essential when doing this kind of business. Now, there are so many requirements that can be put in place to avoid compromise from within the network or from within the environment. For the first thing is access control. Access control. People. How many people can get to the backend or to the database where all your information are sitting? How many people? Access control is very key. And even when they access that application or that database or that web server or that network environment, what can they do? What privileges do they have? These are very essential questions that we should also ask. Then, password policies. You monitor, security monitoring. Somebody is doing something and you are not informed, you are not aware. You should be aware, like I said earlier. I said you should implement a security incident and event monitoring solution within your environment. If somebody is trying to do something fishy, you should know. If somebody is logging into an account, into an application, you should know. If somebody has failed login attempt repeatedly within 30 seconds, the person has about 6 failed login attempts, you should check it, that what is going on. That is very, very important in work. So access control, like I said, is very, very key. Privilege management. There are solutions to achieve, to automate this process as well. I believe I've been able to answer that.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Olubenga. I personally have an understanding of how this works. Some of our software, if, for example, you need access level, what you do as head of operations, let's say our microfinance software, what you do as head of operations is different from what the cashier would do, it's different from what admin or probably someone in management would do. And this is where you prevent internal hacking, you prevent roles are not meant to do. So at this point, our CEO will be taking we'll be concluding the webinar, and then I would like him to answer the last question before he sums up the webinar. So Mr. Ifeanyi, welcome, and thank you for joining us. So the question for you, sir, is that this person said, please, I want to know about making payments with USSD code. Can your company help with this, and how is it done? So that's the question for you, sir.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. You can go on, please.
Thank you so much for the question. You know, our company, we have, we just developed a payment system, HaboPay, and the payment system is supposed to be able to handle payments. It's supposed to be able to enable users, all manner of users, businesses to make payments. The idea is to make payments easy for businesses, integrate it to portals, applications, e-commerce systems, accounting systems, hospital systems. And as the user or as the person asking the question, particularly about using a bank code to make the payment. Yes, just like what I have explained, the system will be able to allow users to make payments with codes, just like you use some bank codes to make payments. And on this note, I want to say a very huge thank you to Mr. Fidel Ibabuchi and also to Mr. Olubenga Rojaye. And I also want to thank everybody that has made out time to be in this meeting. To set up this so that we'll bring to the notice or bring information to people, to students, professionals, career people in our country to understand or to know more about what is happening in the fintech industry and what they can do to prepare themselves, especially for people that want a career in the industry. We ourselves, Mira Technologies, we do software. Our job is making software. We use technologies to create new technologies. We may not be so good or so great about other areas of business, but what we do know in this place is that any organization or any company that wants a solution, a software solution, that is what we know how to do. And that is what we have actually done for a number of years. We believe that bringing this seminar, this webinar to people in our country will go a long way to solving a number of problems. And we hope that in future, as we plan more of these programs, that you will be able to join us to gain more knowledge from talented people and experts in the field like Fidel Ibabuchi and Olubenga has done in this place today. Thank you so much, Jumoke, for your part in this. You've done great. And thank you again, Mr. Fidel. And thank you, Mr. Olubenga. We are so grateful. Much grateful also to the listeners, to the participants and attendants. We plan to reach out more, do more to bring better things to the public. Thank you so much.